Welcome to the FrippVT user group. Hope you are all doing superbly well, and whether you're joining us in person or online, I promised, as always, this will be an action-packed, content-rich experience. The FrippVT subjects for our user groups depend very much on what you tell me you're interested in. And although we focus a lot on presentation skills and aspects of it, our VT users also have questions about social media and what we do. And a lot of the questions, when you say, what is your strategy, Patricia? I tell them I do exactly what Melanie tells me to do, and she sets it up. So first of all, let's, of course, bring our sidekick, Paul, in, who will remind you how you answer polls, if you want to send in your questions, and then we'll go to Melanie and roll up our sleeves, and she will be the boss.
All right, hello everyone. On the right-hand side of your screen, as always, you will see a chat box. Within that chat box, you'll be able to ask your short, specific questions throughout the call, and make sure to get those questions in sooner rather than later so we will have time to answer them. In addition to the chat box, there's a polling area. A polling question will appear at the bottom of the chat box. You'll select your answer and then click vote, and we'll discuss the answers during the call.
All right, good. Well, in case you have not had the pleasure of meeting Melanie at Lady and the Champs or at the National Speakers Association, Melanie is a strategist for companies who want to brand themselves and have great positioning. She is a past president of the Northwest National Speakers Association. So, Melanie, why don't you take it away and explain the first question you asked me?
Happy to, and thank you, Patricia. So Paul's going to get started with asking you a quick question of whether you prefer a timeless or timely strategy. And while he gets that set up, I'm going to explain what that means. One of the very first questions that I asked Patricia was, with your social media, do you want a timeless strategy or a timely strategy? Both are correct, and there is overlap in both. But which one do you prefer to be predominant? Timely means you follow the news regularly, and you're always up to date with what is the most current, what is new, what is relevant, and you have an opinion you're willing to share. This is very personal driven, and you're constantly seeking what's going on in the market. That is timely. Then you have timeless. Timeless means that you can take all of your content that you already have and you repurpose it and you reshare it in a way that it makes it relevant not just today, but in 6 months from now as well. Like I said, both work. Both are great strategies. There's just some different subtleties that make one, when you choose one over the other. So let's find out who chooses timeless or who chooses timely, and then we'll get going from there.
All right, good. And I'd like to comment on that because, of course, at the National Speakers Association, and Russell from PRPR does my, places articles for me. And a lot of the wisdom at NSA is if you want to make comments or write articles, make them really, really current and tie into news. Frankly, that can be very time-consuming, and not every topic really ties into that. So that's why I think this is the easier approach, as well as best for me. Yes. After all, presentation skills have been around ever since people started speaking, and I assume will be forever. All right, so let's see if we have any answers to our polls.
Yes, we do.
Good.
We have 80% prefer a timeless strategy, and 20% prefer a timely strategy.
Okay, perfect. Patricia, as she's already mentioned, also has a timeless strategy. I will try to make recommendations as we go throughout the session today about how whatever we're talking about relates to a timely strategy. Remember, both are correct and both overlap. It's just which one drives your thought process, your strategy, and how you're going to think about how you put your content out there. So next area, you've all heard it, social media is meant to be social. What does that mean? It means we're supposed to talk with people, not at people. That means I talk with you, you listen, you talk with me, I listen, I talk, you listen, and we go back and forth. It's a dialogue, not a monologue. There's a common approach that believes you should push content. I challenge you that the more you respond and engage with others, the better your social media strategy, the better your social media results. So a quick phrase to help you think through this: liking is lazy, but commenting builds relationships. You'll build more relationships faster when you comment on others' content than if you only push your own content. Again, there does need to be a balance, but if you're going to think about dividing your time up, think about it in terms of if you can spend 60-40 or 70-30 with the larger part commenting on other people's content, you're going to build relationships faster because they're going to see how you think and what makes you different from everyone else on the market. And by commenting, I don't mean, great article, Tim. I completely agree with you, Sally. You know, that doesn't help you. That positions you as a Me Too brand. And if you're positioning yourself as a Me Too brand, why would they hire you over the person that originally wrote the article? So when you're commenting, think you agree with something that the author has said, or if it's a video, agree with something that's already there. Pose a question or disagree respectfully with something that they've said. I really like this. I'm not so sure I agree with this, but what is your take on this? So you're agreeing, but you're also disagreeing respectfully in some way. You're starting or continuing an existing conversation in every social media activity that you do. And that's what we do a lot with Patricia, is yes, we create her core content and we build a kitty of content, but we also make sure that she is engaging on social media to continue existing conversations. So I have an article that Patricia wrote that I'd like to share, and I'm going to show you how I took that article and I turned it into what can also be social media posts. So we're repurposing her content in a timeless way. Let's do screen share. Okay. So you should see Patricia Fripp's website, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is an expert explains how to structure your presentation. And she talks about the beginning of what you should be thinking about with structuring your presentation. And then she also goes into a little info session about FrippVT. And then she also happens to have a testimonial. So now what I do with each article that she writes is I then go in and I pull out different parts of each article. So these top two sentences here can be used as tweets. They can be used to create memes or small infographics. And then these larger sentences down below can be used for Facebook posts, for LinkedIn posts, where we can elaborate a little bit more. The core concept came from the article, but then I update it and I modify it to create the appropriate tone that corresponds to that social media platform. So, for example, what you say on Twitter, it's perfectly acceptable to use acronyms for words and misspellings of words to make it fit that shorter section. But on Facebook, it's frowned upon if you have misspellings, if you're not conversational, or if you use too many hashtags. So, like this bottom one here is the testimonial from the article. You'll notice that it started with, "I love sharing testimonials. Here's one of my favorites." And then I share the exact testimonial that was in the article. Now, what I would also do when I post this to Facebook is I would see if I could tag Don in the actual post. If I can, I will. If not, that's okay too. His name is still there. So any questions?
And Mel, you might be interested. Don will be speaking at the NSA Convention.
Oh, is he?
Yes, and we will be doing a webinar together in the future.
Perfect.
I mean, great guy, and he's made the best video testimonial I've ever had, because he went into his studio and really made it very fabulous and appealing.
Perfect. So shall we go into the profiles that you sent me, look at those, and then go back to some more strategies?
Now, you certainly can do that. You're in charge, Mel. You do what you want. We all have a boss. And Mel is one of mine, at least in this area.
I don't know about that, but okay. So let's look.
What is good, because Gary, of course, is one of our longtime friends and supporters, a really great speaker. And then, of course, we also have one of our corporate clients. So it's a good combo. Okay,
so we'll look at Gary first. This blue image back here is called your banner image, and it is your personal billboard. So personalize it from a brand perspective. What can you do to visually tell anyone looking at your profile who you are, what you do, and what they can expect when they work with you? All social media is a blending of communicating with people and communicating with technology. And social media success is bringing the two together. Because if you only talk to the search engines, people won't want to read your content. But if you only customize everything for how people want to read, you'll never be picked up by the search engines. So everything is a balance of bringing the two together. For your banner, Gary, I would recommend that you bring the text down a little bit so it's a little easier to see. And also, that's great that you do guerrilla marketing, but there are a lot of other professionals out there that also do guerrilla marketing. So what makes you different from everyone else? Gary does a fabulous job on what's called your headline. He doesn't just say guerrilla marketing, but he explains what he does and what makes him different from everyone else on the market. Take that concept and apply it to your banner so it's quickly and easily communicates visually what you do. He's also updated his personalized URL. Great job. The relationship aspect of LinkedIn is an aspect that many people don't realize. You can add tags to people and track how you know them. This way, if you want to do specific campaigns aimed at certain people in certain professions, you can have a quick, easy access. Think of it as a CRM built into LinkedIn. It's not exactly that way, but you can think of it that way. Great job with the posts and having images. I would encourage you when you're picking your images to be more targeted as to your brand and not have all overly generic photos. Allow the image to convey the message of the article without actually having to read the title. Okay, summary. Great job for breaking it out, making it easier to read. First rule of thumb with any social media. I, me, my, and myself are perfectly acceptable. Make sure that your entire LinkedIn profile is written in first person.
Now, if we can go back up, now, I, of course, am not the expert at analyzing like you. However, I do like his opening question. Are you satisfied with your business growth and profits? Is that a good opening line? I would think it is.
That is a fabulous opening line. A common strategy that I recommend is your opening line should either ask a question like that or take the approach of, you know how, insert your target market, and then explain what their struggle is. Because put it in common everyday language, no buzzwords, so you know how executives struggle with this.
Yes.
Then your second sentence is, I solve that. Then you go into what's your traditional I help sentence or I work with sentence. So your first paragraph, 3 sentences, that's it. Your second sentence is I solve that problem.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, this is a great opening sentence. If you have the premium with your summary, LinkedIn will make suggestions on how to of what keywords to include in your summary based on your expertise and others who have a similar experience set. So take those seriously, because it's not just how you identify your expertise, it's how others who are looking for you identify what you do. So great job explaining your work experience. And one other area I did want to reference on your particular profile, great job with the volunteering. I see a lot of professionals include their volunteer experience in the experience section. Don't do that. The experience section is for jobs or professional related experiences. You do not have a job when you are a member of NSA. So put that in the volunteer or the membership category. That's a little later on. Organizations. So a little further down we have testimonials, or recommendations as LinkedIn calls them. I would encourage you to get more, and until you reach the 20 mark, try to keep the number that you give and the number that you receive very closely, very close in numeric. So you've received 4, go give 3. That way it looks like you give just as much as you receive. Once you hit the 20 mark, then it doesn't matter, because you have enough that most people are not going to sit there and read every recommendation that you have. Now, another quick tip when you are basically online stalking, and I only promote professional online stalking. Let's say we were trying to learn more about Gary so we could contact him to see if he would be a good fit for a client. When you're on his profile, you have this down arrow, and it allows you to view his recent activity. Also, quick note, this is how you would remove a connection, but we would not want to remove Gary because we like Gary.
Oh, we love Gary.
Yes, we do. So when you click on this down arrow and you click on View Recent Activity, you're going to see a list of everything that Gary has done recently on LinkedIn. This is how people get to know you, know your expertise, and learn your personality. So Gary does a great job of commenting. Okay, so it's somebody else's original post, but he commented and then Ed Tate responded, and we have Trevor who has also responded. So I don't believe you are connected. No, you are not connected to Trevor. So even though we are not connected to Trevor, you can still view Trevor's recent activity. Now, not to pick on Trevor, but Trevor does a lot of push content instead of engaging. It's not that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just, for those of you who have kids and the whole teenager years where they ignore you, they don't want to listen to you. They want to engage with you. They want to feel like they have a voice and that their opinion matters. Same concept applies on social media. And also with social media, think of it from the perspective of social media truly does make it that the world revolves around you. You are the center of attention when it comes to social media. Your network will learn how to engage with you based on how you engage with others. So if you want people to like your posts, then like other people's posts. If you want people to comment on your posts, then comment on other people's posts. So a great example of that is, remember, everything we do on social media is intended to either start a conversation or to continue an existing conversation. And this is a conversation that Patricia originally started in the Harvard Business Review. This is an article that we shared. And as you can see, it now has 12 comments. It has an entire conversation that has started based on this article. Now, Patricia is going to go back in, and she's also going to chime back in on this conversation. I believe she chimed in earlier, too. But this way, it's going to keep the conversation going. Yes, she started it, but she's also going to continue the conversation and reference something Bob said, and reference something Pina said, and reference something that Lisa said. And by tagging them, yeah, see, she originally commented up here, and then the conversation has continued on, and then she'll go in and continue the conversation again. That's how you become known as an expert in your field, is when you converse with people. I'm sure we've all had that experience where you reach out to a company and you get the, "We will connect you with a person shortly. Thank you for reaching out." And you're just sitting there, you're like, "I just want to talk to a person. Can't I just please talk to a person?" And when you respond to people on social media, you're saying, "Hey, I am a person. I'm just like you, and I want to communicate with you." And the more they see that you're willing to communicate with them, the more they're going to think of you first when they have a need for your services.
And I would like Gary, and I believe he's on the line, but if he is, would Gary please write any comments on the review or any of your thoughts? Good.
Shall we move on to Alicia while he's doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Alicia Lowell is actually not connected to Patricia right now, but we can remedy that.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it this moment.
Okay, my internet connection's been a little slow, so let's see if we can do that right now. We'll open that in another window and let that do its thing.
Okay.
So she does what most people on LinkedIn do, and she has her official job title as her headline. There's technically nothing wrong with this. However, from an initial perspective, what makes her different from every other health and wellness program manager on LinkedIn? Okay, we can have that job title down in the experience section, but the headline is a short tweetable phrase, or as Brian Walter calls it, your wow line, that explains what makes you different from everyone else on the market. Same thing with photos, although she does a really good thing that I believe you also do, Patricia, is she has, I think these are photos, but I'm not sure what they actually represent. She's included multimedia in with her experience. So with each experience, you can include videos, you can include memes, you can include photos, you can have PDFs, and you can include all of these in with each particular experience that you have. I would encourage when you're sharing photos, to make them highly relevant, that somebody who doesn't know exactly what you do, they get the purpose of why you're sharing this photo or this image right then and there. And if that message is not immediately conveyed, then you don't want to share it on your profile on LinkedIn because it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Well, I would think looking at this and the photo, walk while you work, would very much tie into being the health and wellness program manager and an expert in healthier living.
Yes, but just from looking at the image without reading the text, because people are more visual than they'll voluntarily read. Just seeing people's feet walking and it's kind of a grayed out image, it doesn't necessarily convey any one message.
Okay.
So in that case, we would want to create a meme, which is a photo that has text on it. And that's where we could have that walk while you work across the image.
I see. I get you.
And it makes it more inviting, makes it more casual, but it also gets to the point a lot quicker.
Okay, very good.
And same thing with the other image. Okay, she's got some foods there. I don't know exactly if they're healthy or not. So I suspect by the caption of the photo that they're meant to be healthy. Well, either which way, same concept. Remember, people generally speaking don't like to read, but at the same time, you need to have text in order to appeal to the search engines. So yes, with your experience, this is where you can have your job title, and she does a great job of linking to the company page, but there's no description of what she does in this position. This is not your formal job description. This is, I did this. I'm responsible for that. I, me, my, and myself are perfectly acceptable on LinkedIn. You own your profile unless you are a financial advisor, in which case that is a completely different conversation. So add in descriptions of what you've done for each of your positions. You'll definitely want to expand your skill set. Remember what we talked about earlier. There's a difference between how you view what you've done, what you do professionally, versus how other people view it. You may use these short 5-6 word list, but there may be 3 or 4 other words or phrases that correspond to each one of these that your potential clients are going to be searching for to find you. You want to include all of those. That's from the tech perspective.
All right, and Mel, Alicia said that those images were news links. So even if it's a news link, can you take the photo and put the caption over the same way as if it were your own photo?
Instead of answering that question, my question back is, are these news links that are related to her professionally in this position? Is she the featured person that they are interviewing? If not, then it's not relevant right here.
And well, if you have an interest in health, for example, as obviously she does, if it isn't here, where would you put it to reinforce? Would it be as an article?
So if it is, if it's something that she is featured in as the expert that was interviewed, then in the premium LinkedIn, there is a section for publications where she can list it there. And if not, then she could share it as a status update, where if we go back to your home page, you click on home and you click on share and update. This is where she can share it. And when you're sharing an article that somebody else wrote, what you would do is, I found this article about X. I really like the advice they give in related to this. What other tips would you add? Or can you easily incorporate that tip into your everyday life? So that way she's leveraging somebody else's experience, but she's not taking credit for somebody else's work.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have the...
We've done business together at FrippVT.
Yes. And...
the president at FrippVT.
There is, but it's not where it's down further than...
Well, it's right above where we're looking.
Okay. So here's another quick tip. You've probably also heard that you should always personalize the message. And there is, thank you for being a volunteer. I really appreciate it. You always hear that you should personalize the message, and generally speaking, you should. However, LinkedIn is, like all social media, they're trying to drive how many connections that you have. So to them, more is better, and they make it easier for you to connect with people. So if you just click that connect button, let me stop screen sharing for a second. So if you just click that connect button, what you're going to notice is that it automatically sends that invitation. You actually have to go to the person's profile, click send a connection request, and then you can personalize the message. Also, you'll notice that LinkedIn has made it harder for you to see who has sent you the connection requests and personalize them. So let me show you what I mean by that. If you're on LinkedIn and you hover over this little man icon up at the top, these are your connection requests. As I scroll over each of these, you'll see that you have the right to accept, which is the check, or X, which is to ignore. Now, if you choose to ignore somebody, they will never know. They will simply know that you have not checked your inbox yet, so you don't have to worry about offending anybody. But if you'll also notice from here, you can't tell if anyone has personalized the message. So is it really worth it? But now if you click on that same man, you'll be taken to this screen that shows your pending invitations. When you see this blue icon here, it means that they have customized the message. Okay? And so you can see what it is. When you see the arrow here, it means they have not customized the message, but you can do what's called reply do not accept. And when you hit reply do not accept, you're taken to your LinkedIn messages. And a message that you can send people, do you know Sue, by the way? We're logged in as you.
Is me?
Yeah. Sue McKinney?
Well, I'm not sure, because,
Okay.
and I'd be interested for you in telling us Well, so so I'm not quite sure. Without looking at a profile, I'm not sure, because of course we have lots of people in our audiences. So there are a lot of people who feel they know me that at this point I don't know.
Okay.
So thank you for reaching out. I'm happy to connect with you. And you're finding out how we know each other?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I have my own rules of how I accept people that I'm not sure that I know. And I'm interested to hear what you do. So one, if you don't have a professional photo and I don't know you, chances are I'm not going to accept. If you don't have any photo and there's no content on your LinkedIn profile, I'm not going to. Now, if you're in another country, I look down and see if you're a member of Toastmasters, because of course I have a lot of Toastmaster fans because my association with the world champions and having spoken at an international Toastmaster conference. So I'm looking to see if there is a reason. Now there are some people I blatantly know, and because I've immediately got a sales message back from some people, so I sometimes know these people have no interest in speaking or me. There's no affiliation. We don't have connections. I think they're just trying to market to me, and I don't accept them. Now, what is your expert's opinion? How do you decide?
Very similar to the approaches that you take. I definitely look at their profile first, see if there's commonalities, whether it be in associations, past work experiences, location. Because like you said, sometimes when you present somewhere, you know that you've recently presented in that area, but you don't necessarily know everybody that's in the audience. So the message that you saw me typing is, in this case, "Hi Sue, thank you for reaching out. I'm happy to connect with you. May I ask how you heard about me and why you're interested in connecting?"
Yeah, good.
This sets up two particular areas. One, it establishes communication. Remember, our ultimate goal is to either start or continue an existing conversation. She started it by sending a connection request. Wow, that sounded very childish, but that's okay. So we're responding to continue the dialogue, and we're inviting her to participate in that dialogue. When I send this message, I wait about a week for her to get back to me. If she gets back to me, then great. Most of the time, the person is sincere in wanting to connect, wanting to get to know you, and so forth. Other times, they're what I call connection collectors, meaning they don't care about you or anyone else on LinkedIn. They only care that they have more connections than you and everyone else on LinkedIn. And those connection collectors, 99% of the time, do not respond. So I hit ignore, and then I don't worry about it. And those that do respond, they openly admit that's all they're doing is adding to their network. And I hit ignore again. Now, for the people that you just mentioned who, as soon as you hit you connect with them and then they send you a sales pitch, I immediately go to their profile and I remove the connection.
Okay.
I won't deal with that. If you're not willing to have a relationship with me first, then why should I waste my time? I don't want to receive sales pitch after sales pitch after sales pitch.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. And Paul, I notice we have some comments, of course, from Gary and Alicia. Are there any other specific questions, or everyone like me hanging on Mel's every word?
Everyone is hanging on her every word. Gary said, "Thank you for pointing out the importance of giving recommendations and being conversational, engaging in conversations." And then Alicia said, "Thank you very much. It was very helpful." And then that was pretty much it. We haven't had any questions so far because Melanie is just, and you two are just so compelling talking to each other.
Well, I'm sitting back and learning, or being reminded of what Mel tells me to do. Now, is this a time, because you suggested to me that I start my own FrippVT group. So, for example, is it a matter of connections, or what is the criteria? You have other clients who are speakers and consultants, and some of the VT users who have corporate accounts are also your clients. So would you tell a corporate client to start a group, just as you told me to start a group?
That is a great question, and a question I'm regularly asked. It depends. What are your goals, and what is the purpose? In your particular case with FrippVT, we've created this community, so therefore it becomes a natural extension. The FrippVT system is fabulous for learning, but it doesn't necessarily have the built-in interaction with other users. So if I'm going through the FrippVT course, I want to be able to talk with other users about how they're dealing with their struggles of putting together an opening, or how do I make my closing tie in with my opening, or how do I better handle the question situation. You know, here's what happened recently. So for you, having the group became a natural extension. The challenge with having a group is it is a lot of maintenance. It needs to be checked daily. It needs to be posted in regularly, and not just by you, but by others. So we need to have a team approach as far as how that works. So before any of my clients go down that path of creating a group, I work with them to get comfortable posting in other groups. Posting in other groups and commenting in other groups is going to build your recognition. It's going to build your credibility. That way, when you do launch your own group, it then becomes, okay, you're an expert. You've clearly communicated that on social media, not just in the physical form. So I want to join your group. A lot of larger companies are moving towards tech support being through LinkedIn. This way it's community generated. A consumer of a product can go into the LinkedIn group. This is the problem I'm having. Here are the approaches I've tried and nothing's worked. Have any help? Or any ideas of how I can solve this problem? So then the other users end up answering most of the time before the actual company gets around to answering. So it all depends. I would encourage you to be active in other groups before you start your own group.
Okay, good. Good. And just so everybody knows, although this is the FrippVT user, this event we have, this is just for our FrippVT users. We do, of course, have other events which we invite you to that are open to your friends as well, that are a tad more commercial. We just tell people about FrippVT. All right, good. So now, so your friends can also join this FrippVT group as well, even if they're not VT members, although we hope eventually they will be.
Yes, that was the other reason why we created the FrippVT group, is so people who were on the fence and not sure if they were ready to take that next step and join FrippVT, they could join the LinkedIn group. It's free, and get some insight as to what they would learn from FrippVT and how other users of it are benefiting.
Okay, good.
So
and we do
you'll
have some
see
questions.
that. Sure.
First off, Mel, do you have a LinkedIn online training program?
I do. I'm in the middle of moving platforms, so if you will send me an email at mel@omical.com, I will let you know as soon as it is live.
All right, and then every time we mention LinkedIn, we get this question. Is the premium account worth the money, or is the basic free LinkedIn account good enough?
I love this question. When I give my presentations at organizations, I literally have slide 3 is disclaimer. I do recommend the premium version. I do not receive any kickback or compensation for it, and no, I do not work for LinkedIn. I do recommend it depending on what your goals are. If you're going to actually invest the time to spend on LinkedIn, then it is worth every penny. If you are not going to invest the time, then it only becomes an unnecessary expense. Some of the features that Premium LinkedIn offers you is it gives you tips on how to improve your profile, and the tips that it gives you are from a search engine perspective. So if you're not technically oriented, LinkedIn will help you improve your SEO ranking on LinkedIn accordingly based on your expertise. It also allows you to see more detail about the people who are looking at your profile. This is great if you own your own business and you're constantly prospecting. If you see somebody's looking at your profile, most of the time they're interested in you for some reason or another. Whether it be you've written an article and they want to learn more about you, which is great, or they've stumbled upon something you've said in a group, they want to learn more about you, also great. Or, you know, maybe they are just looking to grow their connections. Either which way, it gives you an idea of who's looking at your profile and allows you to assess why they're looking at their profile and gives you reasons to reach out to them.
All right, and then the last question we have is it best to post directly to LinkedIn, or are third-party tools acceptable like Buffer?
Oh, wonderful question. Depends on
Buffer.
Buffer's kind of like Hootsuite, but it is article driven.
Okay.
So it's a great resource for finding articles that others have written about particular topics. They've got fabulous articles, and it is a great tool. Highly recommend the tool. It depends on where in LinkedIn you're posting. As a status update, it is fine. In groups, I do not recommend it because it is not as personal of a connection. Remember, everything you do on social media is intended to start or continue an existing conversation. When you're using third-party tools like Buffer, the headlines are written as clickbait, which means they tend to be more sales-oriented, as opposed to, Patricia Fripp just taught me how to close the presentation that I've not been able to close for the last year. You know, that is more personal, it's more conversational, and it's going to tell the user, oh, you actually watched this video. Oh, you actually learned something from this video. Maybe it can help me too. So you see the difference between the headline I just wrote off the top of my head, so it's not perfect, versus something that would come out directly from Buffer. So groups, think personalization and do it yourself. And the other reason for that is they don't always post correctly. And if it doesn't post correctly, it actually gives the perception of being standoffish, that you don't actually want to communicate with people. So there was something else you wanted to talk about with the FrippVT group.
Well, we'd like everyone to join FrippVT.
Yes!
How would they do that, Mel?
Awesome. So let me share my screen and I will answer that question. Maybe. Okay, it's not going to let me share my screen right now. There we go. Let's try this again. There we go.
Well, I'll send everyone a link as well. But if you take the initiative and immediately do it, yes.
Yes. So all you have to do is at the top search bar on LinkedIn, you type in FrippVT. And like I said, my internet connection's a little slow today. There will be a drop-down box that appears underneath where you're typing, and you'll see a FrippVT company, and you'll see a FrippVT group. All you do is, there you go, you'll click on the FrippVT group. These are written in a very light gray, so most people don't see them. You want to follow the company, and you want to join the group. This way you will receive all updates and get to engage with others. One area that we try to use the FrippVT group is after each of these webinars, we post a discussion in the FrippVT group as a follow-up. So let's say after today's session, right now you don't have any questions, but after the session you're like, oh, I should have asked Mel this. Oh, I should have asked Mel that. I wonder what Patricia thinks about this. You'll see that we'll start a discussion in the FrippVT group that you can go ask your questions, and Patricia and I will get back to you.
All right. Now there is another question, and it might interest you how I met Mel. Mel attended a Lady in the Champs. I don't know how many, was it 4 years ago?
I don't even remember how long ago it was.
You came to Lady in the Champs and you got pally with Michael Haig.
I did.
One of my longtime friends. I met him in 2004 at Los Angeles NSA chapter, and I was quoting another screenwriting teacher, and he said, why are you quoting my competition and not me? And I said, well, who the heck are you?
I love Michael.
Michael Haig has, in fact, delivered a FrippVT user group.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he has.
He has. Now, at this point, okay, now I'm going off tangent because one thing I promised, we got a lot of new activities in FrippVT, and I want to tell you about that. And one of them is Lightspeed is, and it's in the works. But it is. They've said they can do it. The request is in. That whereas when you sign into FrippVT, you have, there's the content, there's your favorites, there's the share, the file vault where you get your handouts. They are adding another box which is Fripp webinars. We have already prepared at least 20, and so not only have I delivered, I would think, at least 20 FrippVT user group meetings.
I think it's over that.
I have others where I interview great other experts, whether it's Tony Alessandro or Don Hudson or Kurt Shaver, really good, Andy Paul, all experts. And so we've taken the MP4, because every webinar jam, that this is the format we use, these live on YouTube. Now, but the point is, the FrippVT user groups are only closed. So this is such a good session. Even if people didn't sign up, I'm going to send them the link. However, what we're going to do, so for those of you, of course, and some of you online now, I know you've been long time sending us money every month, devotees, that you will never, ever, ever run out of benefits and content from FrippVT.
Not at all.
And all those, and I have started creating more content. In fact, we've already recorded a very short, and these are going to be shorter. One that we've done is with a framework of an executive overview. This is very important for our corporate clients. Is, you've got an executive for 5 minutes. What do you say? What's the framework? We have another, because all speaking is public speaking. So we've already recorded and being edited right now 12 strategies for networking success. And I've created another, which we will add to, and that is frequently asked questions. So here's a question, here's an answer. Here's a question, here's an answer. So these are short. And so commonly asked questions is where I've started. But if you pose a question to me that has universal principle, not just this is just an answer for you, we will keep adding to this. So we hope you're excited about that, as well as, of course, continuing having I mean, how often do you have someone of Mel's caliber giving advice and analyzing websites? Which brings up to another topic. You are, Mel, delivering another webinar for us in 2 weeks on the 19th, isn't it? The 19th of July. And this is open to all our communities,
Yes.
all our users and newsletter subscribers, and you can invite your friends to this. And now that you've got an experience of Mel, you know you will want to. And what will be different about that on the 19th than this one, Mel?
That one we will do a deep dive into LinkedIn specifically. So today we talked more about the overall strategy and how to think about your content and your approach across all of the platforms. We will specifically focus in on LinkedIn next time.
Now, will you be offering, is there too much content, or will you be offering analysis like you did today?
We can do 2 just like we did today, and I'd like to focus more on the strategy, and I suspect the questions will take up the remaining amount of time.
Okay, all right.
So real quick, I know we were actually showing your profile, but I do want to clarify that I support Patricia in her activities.
Because this is the next question is, people are going to say, look, Fripp's busy, and you're showing all this, and I know Fripp isn't this smart. That's probably what they're thinking. And this is the funniest, and this is a user group, and if we go a few more minutes, I know they'll bear with us. I was delivering an event for the National Speakers Association Northern California. And, my approach is to schmooze with the crowd before it starts, and, what are you excited about, what you want to learn? And one guy said, I'm most excited that I tweeted about this event, coming to this event, and you retweeted it. Well, I didn't want to say, honey, I was too busy working on my content to be retweeting. And then somebody else came up to me. I was standing behind a banner, and a guy came up to me and said, now, how did you manage to retweet my tweet when I saw you standing behind a banner? So perhaps you would like to say, look, I hire Melanie to make me look good. And yes, I do add my own Facebook posts. I do tweet. I do add to LinkedIn.
Exactly.
However, I need an ongoing strategy presence, and there is no way I can make a living and do it. So that's why Mel is my director of social media. That doesn't mean she has her own business, and she also has other clients like me. So I don't know, Mel, because you also have another time-consuming activity. Tell everyone what that is.
I am in the middle of grad school doing the Executive MBA program at the University of Washington. I just finished my first year, so super excited about that. Fabulous program, highly recommend it. But yeah, so like Patricia said, I support her. I provide the strategy, the structure, and also the foundation. So I build the foundation that is consistent. That way, anything above and beyond that makes her appear like she's everywhere all the time. And that's your goal, especially with a timeless strategy, is you want that foundation.
Right.
And so, like you saw, I pull out those phrases from the articles. I store all of those in an Excel document. And I repurpose them accordingly. Same thing with LinkedIn discussions and articles. I'll send her an email, usually about once a week, of specific discussions on LinkedIn and articles that she needs to go and comment on. This way she doesn't have to spend the time researching and finding the articles and discussions for her to save the most amount of time.
Now, I know people are going to think I know you're busy with your advanced MBA and you have Fripp and you have your own business. Can you take on any other clients?
I do take on other clients. To the degree of what I do, Patricia, probably not, but I do offer coaching sessions for 90 minutes. And in that case, I can help you get up to speed with what you're doing, how SEO, how to improve your SEO through social media, make sure you're using the right keywords, we're actually doing the right research, and how to structure your content.
And my advice to everybody, there are times in your career where you have more time than money. And in that case, go to the experts, learn what should I do, and can you analyze where I am now?
Yes.
And that is a good first step.
Exactly.
Obviously, I have been full-time as a speaker consulting coach since 1984. At this point, fortunately, I have a lot more money than I have time. It just means I have so little time. So this is it, and you have to decide. This is not a sales pitch, but I know that is a question that you are thinking, so we want to answer it. Good.
And as far as FrippVT goes, I love the fact that you're creating more content. And what really gets me excited about FrippVT is I know I've done other online trainings in other areas, and FrippVT is relevant no matter where I am. I've gone through some of the trainings multiple times as I'm working on different presentations because it triggers different thought processes with each presentation I go through. So FrippVT truly is timeless, and it is also fun, the engagement. So I absolutely love it.
And if you're an enthusiastic about FrippVT as Mel, please tell your friends, take a trial, and then, of course, join. Yeah.
And make sure you join the FrippVT LinkedIn group, and there will be a discussion following this one, so feel free to add your comments, add questions that you would like Patricia to answer in her frequently asked questions, and also if you have any follow-up LinkedIn or social media in general questions, share them there, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah. And what we might want to do, Mel, I will send this out to everybody, and then in a few months we'll do a new version and build on the questions that come from this, because we got a lot of our core followers in signed up for this one. So I should shut up and go back to you, because I know it is now 1:01. What I'd also ask you to do, but that's obviously going to be another session, is to talk about the strategy of a Facebook business page. I don't know if that is another session in itself.
That is, in detail, it's another session in itself, but from a business perspective, make sure you create a Facebook business page. Do not use your personal profile as a business page. There are more options and features available to business pages. Also, Facebook has in the past, and they will continue to do so in the future. If they feel that you are violating their rules, they will close your account with no notification.
Now, what would be breaking a rule, for example? The most commonly broken rule
is using your personal profile as a business page.
I see.
Your personal profile, you have a max of 5,000 friends. There is no max on a business page. So also, you don't have the level of reach with events that you do with a business page. And yes, there is the mentality of pay to play. But when you build a strong foundation, then you get further reach, you get better SEO, you get better rankings within Facebook. But it's all about continuing conversations in a conversational tone.
Okay, good. So we'll do another class on that in the fall, and perhaps we could, if any of our FrippVT users have business pages, we could analyze them.
Yep, that would be wonderful.
So I know Gary McKenzie will be the first person to say, put his hand up, because Gary is always the first person, which we love Gary. Yeah.
Yes, Gary's wonderful. I love how he's just so willing to participate and always open to all the feedback as possible. So thank you, Gary.
All right. So with that, Paul, Mel, is there any area on your to-do list? Because I gushed on about our new content, and I don't know if I allowed you to finish whatever thought you were on.
Not sure I recall the exact thought that I was on, so...
Good. Well, Paul, are there any burning questions that we have not answered?
No, it looks like we covered everything.
Okay, good. Well, I am going to assume everyone, and we won't even put up a poll. I'm going to assume everyone got great value, and you can type in yes, 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 yes if you did. And Mel, really, well, thank you for what you do for me. Thank you very much for what you do for our community. And I don't know if I finished the question. I didn't finish my story. It was Michael Haig who said, "You gotta know. I've been spending time with Melanie. She's a smart woman. You gotta know her. She knows what you need to know." And that's when I spoke for your chapter a couple of months after we had dinner, and that's how you became the official director of social media. Okay.
Yes.
So I finally finished that story. Good. With that, wonderful people, thank you for your loyalty to FrippVT. And have you been into your FrippVT account this week? If not, please do. It's better to come in on a regular basis, even if you only listen to one chapter. Paul, thank you as always for being our moderator. And Mel, thank you for your great expertise. And I know we all, myself included, this afternoon are racing over to our LinkedIn pages and making it more eye-oriented. Good. Do you have a walk-away line?
Oh, no, I need to come up with that. I don't have one this time, but I'll have one for next time.
A walkaway line can be one of the key ideas in your presentation. So it could be social media.
So how about we use my overall line, which is in the process of becoming my legal registered tagline of building brands worthy of going viral, and build your brand worthy of going viral by understanding how to blend what technology needs and people want.
Perfect. That can be your walkaway line on the 19th of July. And if you just go to fripp.com, click on the events page. We've got the Fripp user meeting, the one I did this morning, and then the next one is Mel. You can sign up now before I even send you information. So with that, thank you, thank you, thank you. And until I see you, am I buying you dinner on Sunday?
Yes, you are.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.